for the whole race.
Well, there's a gap from 1, 2, back to 3, 4 and 5. So
now watch Robbie Baird, see if he does the same thing. Now he's got his slipstream. Now you watch Robbie into this fast. Now watch. Now you see, watch Goddard. See Goddard so much quicker.
Just can't do it.
Yeah, he did. Well, Goddard was on the wrong side for him then, but Robbie goes in quick, but Goddard goes in a little bit slower. But Goddard's up the inside. It's a good little tussle.
Oh, this has been the battle right through. I mean, they've swapped positions a number of times here. It's been terrific stuff.
Right, now this will slow Martin Craggill up a little, because you're just sort of thinking about where you're going to nail the bloke, and in the meantime, well, it didn't slow Craggill up, but it really didn't do McCarthy any favours.
No, he didn't lose too much, I don't think. The rider had a good look at him, knew they were there, and did the right thing and got out of the way. So again, they run nose to tail, Craggill and McCarthy. Running out of laps now. They're on lap 11.
It's great for Martin Craggill to have a good weekend, because he got hit by a bird down at Phillip Island, and he virtually lost the use of his arm, and there was serious doubt at one time whether his arm would ever be normal again. So you know, it's really good for him to get a good two wide. That's wide. They don't come any wider than that.
Right, let's recap the top runners for you. It's Craggill, McCarthy, Goddard, Baird, Martin now up ahead of Giles, and an Archibald in behind him. But all the action up front at the moment. McCarthy chasing Craggill. Craggill just opening up that little bit of a gap.
Yeah, it's where McCarthy ran really wide there. That didn't do him any favours whatsoever, because he lost quite a bit of ground there. But that's what happens when you're really trying hard. You have to stuff it in everywhere as hard as you can. And the old tyres will be getting hot now, and he'll be getting hot. And when you're fighting against a bike that is quicker, it's a struggle.
Goddard and Baird, that's plenty of interest still there, because Baird hasn't given up his chase on Goddard. No doubt about that. They're going to take it right down to the wire. McCarthy now. Whoa,
look at that. Savour the flavour of that. That is really good.
Onto the final lap.
He's going to struggle, McCarthy. You know, there's nothing left in the pot, really. It's screwing the neck of it. And unless Martin makes a bit of a mistake somewhere or runs in a little bit deep somewhere, I can't see McCarthy doing it.
Well, now onto the main straight again, and the checkered flag will go out for Craggill. He'll take it out from McCarthy. McCarthy second. So Craggill, terrific job here, Martin Craggill, today. He really has been good. Look at this. So Baird got him. Baird got Goddard. So that was the scrap of the race, no doubt about that. And the young Queenslander came out.
Giles got Goddard.
Yeah, blast pass here. So Giles, as you predicted, came out of nowhere. There's the two up front. They've had a good dice, good scrap. They would have enjoyed that too. Baird with a terrific ride, and Goddard, well, just getting blasted away about 20 metres out from the finish line.
Right, this is a shot from the back of Robbie Baird's bike, and look, Goddard going backwards. And you see there's Sean Giles. It looks to me that the thing must have run out of petrol, because you just don't go backwards that quickly.
Recapping the results, our race 2 from the Superbikes. Craggill takes it with 20 points there. McCarthy on 17, Baird on 15, Giles 13. Goddard, who you saw go backwards, on 11. Overall results now. Craggill, of course, Martin Craggill, the great win here in the Kawasaki with 40 points from Kirk McCarthy on 30. Robbie Baird, a terrific job to equal those points with 30 as well. Giles on 23. Peter Goddard finished on 22. Let's go pit side with Andrew Voss.
Well, it's worked out the perfect Sunday, 2 from 2.
Yeah, I couldn't have wished for better. I'd really like to thank Kawasaki. You know, they made me look good. I don't feel that I was riding that good today, but the bike was working well, and the tyres were working well, and Zurich for their sponsorship, and Shell, and Canon, and NGK. Thanks a lot.
I think you got them all in. What about Jason McEwen dropped off with some problems, but Kirk McCarthy certainly picked up the challenge?
Yeah, Kirk went a lot better in the second one than he did in the first one. I'm glad Jason dropped off.
Martin, congratulations again.
Thanks a lot.
From the Melbourne Suzuki team, Steve, a great effort to get the final round at Malhalla. With me in commentary for this one, Ken Wootton, editor of Australian Motorcycle News. Ken, it is very, very windy.
Very windy and a lot of pressure, not only from the wind but from the championship. And Marty Craggle doing everything right at the moment. He's qualified on pole. He's got that extra championship point. But boy, is he going to be able to stop Peter Goddard, or is Peter Goddard going to run away with this championship?
Let's see how they get off the line. It is Goddard forcing his teammate wide. Good start here from Connell as well. Bike 19 will lead them through the first time through the S's. Not very far from the start line to the first corner on this circuit, and it can make life very, very crowded. On board with Damon Buckmaster, the Shell Advanced Suzuki machine. Gives you an idea just how close they are, Ken Wootton. Look at this. Here's Peter Goddard up the inside and fighting for the lead.
Let's just run through the scenario here. For Marty Craggle to win this championship, he has to win both races. He has to qualify in pole position, which he's already done. And Peter Goddard has got to finish outside the top 5. Now, at the moment, Peter Goddard's out in front. We're looking at the view from Damon Buckmaster's on-bike camera. He's back in the pack. He hasn't had a good start, but Peter Goddard out in front already in clear air, and he'll certainly want to be keeping away from those two Kawasaki's behind him.
No doubt foremost in his mind the idea of simply finishing in the top 5. He does not want to get involved in a scrap. As the field stream through the S's, they come onto the short straight here. This is the start-finish straight, and that is Rick Crocker on the Honda, getting sideways early on. Quite a few kilometres to complete, and the Kawasaki's are fast, but the wind playing havoc with the riders. It is very blustery, probably up around the 30 kilometre an hour, and it is really knocking the bikes around. Here is Goddard in a replay. Look at the style of this man, the front pushing. This is a tight, tight corner. In fact, here at Malhalla, 3 times rowing back through the gears. Very, very tough on brakes. And if you are a late breaker, a la, well, Martin Craggle, you can expect to see some fierce action down into these corners. Have a look at this. Having said that, Craggle gets up the inside of Ben Archibald on the Ducati. Now, Archibald started to have a few problems with gear changing early on in this race. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't overcome the distance that he lost. He really is going to have to fight for it. You're on board again with Buckmaster, having a look at just how tight it is out there, Ken. And I wonder just how many of the competitors have had to make changes to cope with the conditions, the wind, the headwind, then it's a tailwind.
Quite often it catches them out too. You can go whistling into a corner lap after lap. Suddenly there's a 10 kilometre an hour difference in the wind. That changes your top speed. Go in too deep, you'll run wide, and you've blown the corner. As we go once again with Damon Buckmaster with the onboard camera on the Shell Advanced Suzuki dealer team bike. Marty Craggle, just talking about running wide under brakes. He's been caught out in the pit hairpin, ran out wide. However, he's managed to get back on the taps as we take a replay of Marty Craggle under brakes. When he gets it right, he's the deepest braker in the field. Look how hard he's gone in there under Ben Archibald on the Ducati. Pulls it round tight to stop Ben getting back underneath him. But have a look at Archibald on the Duke. He's got the front wheel up beside the Kawasaki, early on the gas, but Craggle holds him out. Head of the pack, though, Peter Goddard. He's leading. He's got the championship in his sights. He's only got to finish this race in the top 5, but he's got the wildest man on the circuit clamped to his rear wheel. Troy Bayliss, he is the loosest superbike rider you've ever seen, but somehow he manages to keep that bike upright and does things with it that other riders can only dream about.
Certainly is remarkable, his performance on the motorcycle. He will pull the pen and do anything, anytime, to anyone in order to get to the lead. He is extraordinary in his ability to throw the motorcycle around. Goddard looks to the outside. Guess who's up the inside? Troy Bayliss. Goddard, though, head down. Thank you very much. I'll go back into the lead. Here it is on replay. Now, you can see that Goddard thought he was going to be overtaken on the outside. Nope. That is Troy Bayliss up the inside. Look at Bayliss working the motorcycle. Simply pulls the handlebars back into where they roughly should be, applies the power, but Goddard was already on the gas and able to outdrive him to the kink. Well, there is plenty of action here. That is Steve Martin, bike 99, the leading privateer. A superb performance from him and a very much underrated rider. I really do think that he has come of age finding a motorcycle that works for him. Look at the style here of Troy Bayliss on replay. This guy certainly earns his dollars. The front wheel comes up, goes sideways, grabs another gear, thank you, and lofts the front wheel again. Goddard now, still in control, but gee,
if you had rear-view mirrors, you certainly wouldn't be looking in them at the moment. We're on board again with Buckmaster. This guy is smooth. He is fast. He has won at Lakeside. He has tasted victory. Here's a man who wants to taste victory today as he gets up the inside. Bayliss has moved into the lead, has gone past Goddard. Here it is on replay. Deep under brakes. Now, Goddard is thinking to himself, well, you'd imagine he's thinking to himself, I think I'll let this one go right on by, thank you very much. Now he will be able to sit back and keep an eye on just what's going on with the Kawasaki. Here's the Suzuki meat in the Kawasaki sandwich.
Yes, and it's fantastic racing because Bayliss, he's got nothing to lose. All he wants to do is get out in front, clear track. Peter Goddard, he'd have his heart in his mouth as they come through to lap one of the slower riders, Paul Caridi on a privateer Suzuki. But Marty Craggle's the one that has to win this race. He's got to score 20 points and Goddard's got to be shuffled back to 5th. As Craggle up the inside under brakes, Goddard gives him plenty of room. He doesn't want a Kawasaki bull bar nudging that Suzuki off into the mulga, and you can understand that. A very clean passing move by Craggle. He's a lot lankier than the other riders in the field. Lacks out in top speed because of that, because he hangs out like a windsock. Let's look on the replay. Marty Craggle, we've spoken about how good he is under brakes. Very deep into the corner, pushes it in hard into the hairpin, pivots it round with his knee, caressing the tarmac, then he'll be hard on the throttle on the way out. What's interesting is these riders use different gearbox setups. Some of them push down to change up gears, some of them click the lever up to change up gears. It's very much a personal preference thing. Peter Goddard, he's one of those riders that pushes down on the lever to change up a gear. He's got a speed shifter on that bike, so he can hold the throttle full open on that Suzuki, click the gear lever, and it will change up a gear. Doesn't even have to touch the clutch, and because of that, he saves precious seconds around this circuit. Back in 3rd position at the moment, it's a position that he's not accustomed to. Goddard, he's been the class act of the series so far. Marty Craggle on bike 5, he's obviously trying, Greg. I've never seen him hang off the bike that far so far this season.
Definitely earning his dollars, no doubt about that. But Goddard seems still to be in control, doesn't he? He's just sitting back and he knows what he has to do. The consummate professional in Australian motorcycle road racing is Peter Goddard. Locks the front wheel along the front straight. It is a tough circuit, Malhalla. If you don't like corners, you are not going to like coming to South Australia to race here. That is Troy Bayliss. He is on the mat, no doubt about it. Has pulled the pin, has his teammate now, Martin Craggle, in behind him. Craggle is on a charge. Oh, Bayliss. Lots of oversteer coming into the hairpin at the bottom of the back part of the circuit. Then they're headed to the S's. That was a big slide there for him. We see it constantly with the smaller motorcycles. These big guys, though, that is dangerous. They are big rear tyres and they will catch and throw you over the high side very, very quickly indeed. Craggle now on the charge. Up behind his teammate, you've got a feel for Peter Doyle, the manager of Team Kawasaki Australia. He watches his 2 riders carve each other up all over the country, and sometimes both bikes don't make it back in one piece. On the charge, look at Bayliss, working the throttle, working the motorcycle, and he is quite happy to let that motorcycle squirm and move around underneath him. Super high speeds here on the back portion of the circuit. Ben Archibald now has made some real ground there, and he has moved forward. Goddard, well, knows 5th place. He can count to 5, not a problem. And his pit boards would be telling him the whole time the story, where he stands, who's in front, and especially who's behind.
There's certainly no team orders at the front. We know that Craggle has to win to keep his faint championship hope alive. Yet his teammate Troy Bayliss, he's not letting Craggle through. He's obviously going for the race win. Peter Goddard, he'd be hearing all sorts of sounds in that Suzuki. He'd be wondering if the valves are touching. He'd be thinking, is it going flat in the revs? As Troy Bayliss does everything to hold out Marty Craggle. Craggle tries to go around the outside in turn 1. You need big brakes to do that, and he wasn't able to do it that lap. So we've got Bayliss still leading the way. Let's take it on the replay. Craggle up on the outside, nearly gets level with Bayliss, but Bayliss cuts across the apex of the corner. There's no room on the outside for Craggle, and he's got to tuck in behind. So we've still got 27-year-old Troy Bayliss leading this race on the Zurich Kawasaki. Surprisingly, both these riders, let's look at the replay. Bayliss all up out of the seat fighting for control. I was about to say that both Craggle and Bayliss have similar setups on their bikes. They're not a lot different. but Bayliss rides his so loose. Oh, once again, under brakes, out wide, Craggle in deep, Bayliss back underneath. These guys are fighting up. Look at Craggle all crossed up under brakes, just way too hot into the corner, has to pull the bike in too late, leaves a gap and Bayliss slips through. So Bayliss out in front. Hello, he's got problems. He's down, he's out. Front end began to go. You could see that going into the corner, Greg. He obviously lost control, tried to keep it up with his knee, and what a disappointing end for our race leader.
Certainly was. Here it is on replay. Now the front tyre is sliding. It is pushing across the track. He is trying to hold it up on his knee. Look at his arm. He pulls up and then says, no, thank you very much. I'll get out of this one. Bails out and leaves the race lead now to his teammate, Martin Craggle, who desperately needs this win. If, for whatever reason, Goddard failed to finish the race, Craggle would only need the win in the second one to pull off this job. I don't know if he can do it, but right at the moment he believes he can. Ben Archibald in second on the Ducati. This is a good ride from him. Ben Archibald moving up to the Ducati, having ridden an ex-Team Kawasaki Superbike last year. They're on their final lap. This is a superb performance from Martin Craggle. Has absolutely pulled the pin. Here he is. Look at the style of this man. Hanging off the left-hand side of the motorcycle, giving it all he is worth. And I tell you what, Ken Wootton, this is a phenomenal ride from him. But what about Peter Goddard? He is heading for victory and the Australian Superbike Championship.
Half a lap to go. It will be Suzuki's first Australian Superbike Championship. It will be Peter Goddard's first Australian Superbike Championship. The championship's been going since 1989, yet Suzuki has never been able to win it. It's been won by Honda, it's been won by Kawasaki. It's Marty Craggle who looks like taking out this race at the 5th round of the series, but it looks like Peter Goddard, with only 3 or 4 corners to go, will be the new Australian Superbike champion. All he has to do is finish across the line, and boy, I bet you he's a very happy man.
Of that you can be certain. Well, time now to talk to the new champion, Peter Goddard.
Oh, I'm glad to get that race over. I'll tell you, it was hard. I went out good, and but then started to suffer some tyre problems. I chose fairly soft tyres. Track temperatures come up a lot, and I was suffering with tyres, as you could probably see, and dropping back, and I could see Troy looked like he was